What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Cleveland Post YouTube channel. Today, I am your only host, Justin Harold. No Jeff, no Logan, but I am bringing you guys some Cavs news. Obviously, today is Thursday, the 22nd of June, which means today's draft day, people. And as you all know, as of right now, 9:40 a.m. in the morning, we currently still only own the 49th pick in the draft, second round draft pick. However, the reason I'm making this video is because there is a ton of rumors out there, not just about trading up into the first round for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but trades in general, looking into wings, looking into different positional players that may be available. And so this is going to be your Cleveland Cavaliers roundup rumor mill. So we're going to start off with the draft. Obviously, you can't really get into too much when you're picking 49 in the NBA draft. There's not a whole lot of certainty with anything. A couple years back when we had number 3, we were able to draft Evan Mobley. There are only 2 players you could really think of between that number 3 pick that you were willing to go after. So now we're in a much different spot. However, there have been tons of rumors about the Cavaliers potentially moving up into the first round of the draft. Now, earlier on in the week, it was a talk about the Portland Trail Blazers and the Indiana Pacers, who did own multiple first round picks. They have since then traded the later round ones already, and thus the only option that has been talked about since then with the Cavaliers is the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, the interesting development that is coming from this is not only do they want the 23rd pick from the Portland Trail Blazers, but there is a rumor that they also would acquire Nazir Little, who plays small forward wing kind of position. He's a little bit on the shorter end and hasn't produced too much. But again, depending on what the Cavaliers have to give up to get Nazir and the 23rd pick, we'll see. Obviously, again, just rumors. That's why we're doing a roundup here. But going into that, I am going to go on to Cavs Nation here and look at some of the names that have been tossed around for players that they might go after in the draft. One such player was Cavs, I was reading the headline. The headline says Cavs host former college basketball player of the year for pre-draft workout, that being Kentucky big man Oscar. And I'm so sorry, again, there have been a couple of times in our recording past where we've had names that we couldn't pronounce. Oh, goodness. Tashwibe. I'm just going to call him Oscar for right now. Big man out of Kentucky. Would have to look into him a little bit more, but obviously that's one name. Another name that I've heard is Amoni Bates from Eastern Michigan. And then the final name that I've heard at 49 for now, at least, these are all pick 49 guys. Amoni Bates, Oscar from Kentucky. I'm just going to call him Oscar from Kentucky until I finally hear his name pronounced, if we do end up drafting him. But and the final one is Kobe Brown. I believe he is from Missouri. All of these guys kind of fit what we are looking for if you're drafting at 49. Guys with tons of potential, tons of upside. However, a lot of you are probably sitting here saying, why are we even talking about the draft? Why are we even getting into potentially trading up into the first round? Well, here's the thing, everyone. If you didn't know this, we don't have a ton of money to spend in free agency. We only have the MLE, which is about $12 million, that allows us to sign a player to a deal. And that would be one potentially, starting position player, which would be great, or a few rotational players at smaller deals. So if you're asking, why are we talking about the draft? This is the only surefire way that you get a guy with guaranteed money and your envisioned, in the front office envisioned history, you get someone that could potentially, boom into a higher prospect like a KPJ, who was drafted later in the first round and looked to have tons of potential, is doing some pretty good things in Houston right now. And thus, that is why we are talking about the draft. However, the real thing that we need to talk about is what are we going to do about that starting 3 position? Because that's where all the talk in the draft and in free agency and in the trade market right now is centered around the Cavs. They need that small forward, starting small forward position filled. Can no longer be talk about having Isaac Okoro start at the 3 or having Karis LeVert start at the 3 or any guy who, is just going to be there, a placeholder, essentially. We need that guy that can secure the spot for years to come and be a part of this team for years to come. That's why we're talking draft. But like I said, it isn't only the draft. The trade market is out there. One name that has been floated around in the trade market right now is Tobias Harris. And after looking up his contract, I don't think the Cavs are going to be able to really get a deal done for him, especially with the rumor that Philadelphia is asking for a ton. However, again, it shows you that they are active. They are looking for those wing position players, and they're trying to fill that hole. Chris Fedor did tweet last night, and I will pull it up for everyone just really quickly here. Chris Fedor did tweet last night that if the Cavs have been looking into wings, and here it is right now. I'm gonna pull it up. Bada bing. Wait a minute. Oh, that's her. There it is. All right. So I had 2 tabs open. So as you can see here, Chris Fedor, if it's a two-way wing who can shoot and has a pulse, the Cavs have reached out and expressed interest in him, trying to see what the cost would be. Now, obviously, cost being the biggest talking point for probably every move that we will be making this year, we're limited. Like I said before, unless you're one of the sane people willing to trade one of the core 4 guys, then yes, we are very limited to who we can trade and what the value is that we can get back for those players. Because if you think about it, you don't want to trade Darius Garland. You don't want to trade Donovan Mitchell. You certainly don't want to trade Evan Mobley, as young as he is right now and as talented as he's looked. And then, you have the people out there who don't want to trade Jared Allen because whatever reasons they don't want to. Now, I'm of the opinion that I'd rather have just 3 stars, 3 big name stars, the first 3 that I named, and then trade Jared Allen and finally be on the other end of a 2-for-1 deal where you get a starting 3, and yeah, maybe you get a lesser of a 4 or a 5, and maybe you move Evan into the 5 position, or you keep him at the 4, it doesn't matter. But it's better to fill holes with players that are going to play in those exact positions than to fill holes with the players that you have on this roster, but have them playing out of position constantly right from the tip. And that's just the problem that I've seen with this team. So I am happy seeing that we are making an effort to go out there and find wing players. I think we need to be a little bit more open to who we're willing to give up. Now, I'm not saying that means, hey, go trade Jared Allen for a nickel on a dime. I don't want to do that. But if I can get 2 nickels for a dime, guess what? That's still 10 cents. That's still getting 2 players that are worthwhile. And I think that if you fill holes, that's the biggest thing. This team has star power. It has star power. You look at the Denver Nuggets, very similar situation. Jamal Murray, Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., I'd say is very comparable to Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. But you look at the flip side of what we could be doing, go look at the Suns. Go look at every team that Kevin Durant has played for in the last 4 years and how they have not worked out by trying to trade for big names constantly or having big name guys be on the payroll. So getting out of that spiel for a minute, what can we expect in terms of the trade market? Well, again, without being able to trade Jared Allen, you're working with Cedi Osman, Isaac Okoro, a potential sign and trade for Karis LeVert, which is a lot messier than we can really get into right now, and Dean Wade and Ricky Rubio. Very limited supply of players there, and very limited to what we could potentially convince someone to give us back for one of those players. So, as of right now, 9:50, we got a few more hours until the draft, and we're still sitting here thinking, hey, it's looking all right, but as Jeff will tell you, once you make the playoffs, you're in championship mode. Now I get it. Last year, first time in the playoffs, whatever it may be, it's fine. We're not gonna really worry about that. I know that everyone wants to cry and really worry about what happened in that Knicks series, but young team, young composition, and a composition that is not final. I most certainly do not think it's final, and thus, we're going to be looking into the draft tonight, and hopefully, maybe even tomorrow, we'll get back on. We'll talk a little bit more about what the draft selection was, what it means for the team moving forward, and if there were any moves made. But for now, that's the rumor roundup mill. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. If I missed something, I know that Twitter is on fire right now, but I tried to keep it to names that I really did hear and not try to put any of my 2 cents of who I'd like to see us go after or who I'd like us to get. But I do think that the Cavs are in a position to make some interesting moves. Hopefully, they don't seem like desperate moves. That's the one thing that I don't want us to do. I don't think that we're too far off from a championship contending team, but I do think that it does take time. It does take proper moves from the GM, but also proper development from the coach and his players. So, with that all being said, if you guys did make it to the end of this video, I do appreciate it. Please make sure you are liking, subscribing, and commenting. Hey, if I missed something in this roundup, please feel free to let me know. Tell me down in the comments, if you've heard something, if you think something's brewing, we want to hear about it. We want to try to get on it. And, if we can, we will try to, make a point on it in the next video. But with that being said, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.